Well, despite a multitude of bankruptcy filings, the outlook for downtown office buildings is also looking brighter. While seemingly distressing on the surface, bankruptcy may bring about a new financial structure that will bring cash and attract new tenants. The bankruptcy filings include the Chiquita Center. In January, one of the center's investors filed a petition for bankruptcy reorganization for this 29-story 6th Street office tower. A recent appraisal valued the building at $33 million, but the debt it owes on that asset is more than $64 million. It was the same situation for the nearby 580 building at 6th and Walnut, the old Inquirer building at 6th and Vine, and the former Cincinnati Post building on Court Street, all sold in distressed sales for less than each building's debt. So why is this a potentially good thing for downtown? Business Courier reporter John Newberry is with editor Rob Dahlmeyer to explain it. Gentlemen?
Brian, thanks. John, thanks for being here. So why is something that on the surface seems bad, selling properties for less than they're owed, the money owed on them, why is that possibly a good thing for downtown?
Well, I think it's good in the sense that a lot of times these buildings are just sitting there. There's no money being invested in them because nobody really has an incentive to put money into the buildings. They sit around. Then all of a sudden, when they finally get to a point where there's a deal to bring a new investor in with some fresh money, that's when they foreclose or there's a bankruptcy sale or something like that. So when you see these things like a bankruptcy petition being filed, that's a lot of times that's a good thing because that means something's going on. There's going to be more money coming in.
And now when you talk to developers, Cincinnati developers, is that something that they sort of watch and wait for? I mean, is this part of a business plan, essentially, to kind of wait for buildings like this to...
Well, I think a lot of times investors are sitting around waiting because the owners think that all of a sudden somebody's going to push a magic button, right, and all of a sudden property values are going to shoot back up or something. But eventually they realize they need to, this is what it's worth, let's sell it, move on. More money comes in, the new owners can put money in and profit by investing in that building, finishing out tenant spaces, bringing in tenants. So it's good for the city, gets like downtown, it gets things going again.
You've mentioned money coming in, a lot of it's from out of town. Now you mentioned in the story that there's some money now coming in to Cincinnati from investors that aren't even from here. Why would that be? I mean, the downtown office vacancy rate is fairly high and per square foots are pretty low. Why are they coming into town? I
think a lot of these investors, for one thing, things are getting real expensive on the coasts, so a lot of institutional investors are now starting to look to secondary markets like Cincinnati. And they're looking a few years down the line, I think, and they're seeing all this money and all what's happening here with the banks and over the Rhine and things like that. They're looking a few years down the line. They see exciting things for downtown Cincinnati. So.
Great. Well, John, thanks very much for being here.
Sure.
Brian, back to you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Good explanation and also very positive outlook.